It's our pleasure to be joined by Mike Dunleavy Sr., father of new Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. Makes sense, considering they have the same name. Coach, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it, and congratulations on the good news about your son.
My pleasure. Yeah, it's very exciting news. I know, he loves the Bay Area, and excited that they were able to make a deal.
Have you had a chance to talk to him today or recently, and what advice have you been able to give to your son about this new undertaking?
We haven't talked today. We've obviously texted. I watched the press conference, which I thought was, extremely good and nice. And, but along the way, when of course we had some conversations, and clearly it's one of the top franchises in the NBA, having won 4 championships here, and while Bob was at the helm, it was a job that that he really wanted, and it was a great fit in the transition.
There's no question it's one of the premier franchises in the league, and you've done both jobs. You've been the head coach and you've been a general manager. Does it complicate things, Mike, when the owner is basketball knowledgeable and is very hands-on? Does that change the dynamic at all?
No, I think it's helpful, actually. It's when you have somebody who you can reason with, that you can talk about different aspects of the game, and who understands actually what you're talking about. I think it's very positive. To me it would lend itself to getting deals that you want to get done, I always thought the owners around the league that I knew that were knowledgeable guys were the guys you wanted to work for.
Are you surprised that Mike has kind of followed in your footsteps other than the coaching, but now he's gone on to the front office? It's a pretty good career, 15 years in the association, and now he's chosen to go in the front office. Is this something that you saw from Mike when he was a young man, or are you surprised that he's taken this career turn?
I honestly, I don't know. From an early age, I knew he had a chance to be a player for sure. And 15 years was just a tremendous run. But when he first retired, we talked about different things. Unlike him, my background was I was a guy, I never knew how long I was going to last. So my background is I worked.
We might have lost Mike Dunleavy there. We'll go ahead and try to catch him back up. Might have a little bit of a phone signal issue there, but interesting what he was going to say. Larry is talking about his career as a 6'3" point guard, more of a grinder, and knowing that his son, obviously a good player as a young person, was able to probably have much more of a career trajectory. Mike, did we get you back? Or you were saying about your career?
Yeah, so actually I could hear you clearly the whole time.
Oh, okay.
What I was saying is that for me, when I first started out, I worked on Wall Street for Merrill Lynch in the off seasons, even when Mike and the kids were young. And then even when I retired, I went there full time. And then I made enough money where I could prove to myself to do something other than basketball, that I went back into coaching. And obviously, I was coach and also general manager, for Milwaukee and the Clippers, and just coach for Lakers and Portland. I didn't know that Mike would want to go into the front office or what he would want to do after basketball. I had introduced him to a couple of opportunities business-wise that I think he was considering, and then I think Bob Myers is the guy that really kind of talked him into it. They had a great friendship and great respect, and the opportunity to work for somebody that that well, I think became very enticing to him, and that's why he chose it.
Well, hopefully he does real well here, and it seems like just yesterday he was a rookie coming out of Duke. It's amazing how time flies, Coach. And one of the things I think is a real advantage for Mike is the fact that he played in the league. And I'm just kind of wondering, from your perspective, do you feel like that helped you communicate with players, knowing that that you had a career, and them knowing that you had a career?
Yeah, I think that was really a positive thing. I think along the way, your understanding being able to talk the game to guys, being able to honestly give them feedback and input on their game and what they'd have to improve on. When they know the game, then I think you're able to help them more and be able. The communication part of it is important, and being able to talk the specifics of how you fit into a team, and how you become a part of a winner is really important.
If you're going to impart one piece of advice to your son as he gets really rolling up his sleeves and gets into this job with a very successful franchise and a pretty demanding owner, what's that piece of advice you'll impart to Mike?
Just keep doing what you do. He's a hard worker. He's smart. He's an IQ player, and he's a guy that really understands the game. And I think that a part of what comes into being a general manager is a couple of different things. I mean, you're picking players for your coach, so you're trying to help give your coach the best opportunity he can to win. So you have an open line of communication with your coach to see kind of what he thinks he needs, where he needs help to do his job better. I think you have to understand the cap. I mean, clearly, a big part of the puzzle in today's world, and especially now you got a new CBA coming in, is to fit that puzzle together. And obviously, one of the other big positives that the organization has going for it is an owner that has been willing to go to the maximum of what limits he can spend to create a winner for the city.
We focus so much on players' skill sets in the draft and maybe not as much on who they are as people. You've done both roles. You've coached and you've been a general manager. When you were a GM, Mike, did you want to know the essence of a player's personality and that kind of get to know them a little bit? Or were you satisfied when you felt like you had a good grasp of their skill set?
No, you want to know them. I mean, one of the first things that I, it's not the only reason why you would pick somebody, but clearly was a big plus for me, is I love guys that were gym rats, guys that just love to play. Because, I was fortunate in my first coaching job. I had the ultimate gym rat in Magic Johnson. It's good to have a guy who's your best player, who's your hardest working guy, who he doesn't care if he's playing for $2 or $2 million a game. He's going for the jugular. And, you want those guys that, that once they get on the floor, they love to play and they're going to work hard all the time. And, those are the guys that, that really become winners.
Mike Dunleavy Sr. here on 95.7 The Game. We're talking about his son being named officially as the general manager of the Golden State Warriors. So looking at Mike Jr.'s job as he faces it, Draymond Green reportedly is going to opt out of his contract, and he's got a draft coming up on Thursday. Other than that, not much going on for your son. What would you say are the biggest challenges he's facing here in the short term?
Well, I mean, obviously, they've been preparing for the draft for a long time. So, I'm sure they're already pretty set for that, for where they pick. But they have to be set for more. You always have to be ready to move in the draft, whether it be up or down. So you have to have a grasp of the whole draft and understanding. And then a big part of that, what comes in there, is salary cap as well. Obviously, with Draymond opting out creates a situation that they have to figure out. From an economic standpoint, I mean, they already know, and it's been well stated, how much they love Draymond and how much how important they think he is into winning. So obviously they'll have to figure out how they can come to terms and to make something work that works for both sides to get him re-signed.
I've heard people say that you definitely want to hear your players, but you don't necessarily want to listen to your players as a general manager. You had Magic. And as a GM, did you want to consult him on players and hear his opinion prior to the draft? Did you feel like it clouded your judgment?
Magic's GM, Jerry West was, but as a player, clearly, and when I was a general manager, I talked to a lot of my star players, my guys who I had really good relationships with, who were, important guys who I believed in what they could do on the court and off the court, in terms of how they, dealt with their teammates, how they were leaders. The guys you could really trust. One of the areas that you can really get a heads up is on if you're going to make a deal, sometimes they know a little bit about players out there that you might not know. You might know them, players that you're looking at either making a deal for or signing as a free agent, as far as their skill sets, their numbers, and what you believe how they'll fit in on the court. But sometimes it's important to know about stuff that goes on off the court. And I've had guys say to me that I've trusted, Coach, we don't want any part of this guy. And then that would be a deal ender for me. If one of my guys who I believe in is a hard worker and, a real, team guy, if he knows something about somebody and he says he's not going to be a good fit for our team, and that carries a lot of weight with me.
Do you think it's more difficult now what your son is facing in this culture and this climate with social media and all the scrutiny as opposed to the times when you were GM?
Well, I think the whole world is. I mean, clearly it was coming about. The dissemination of information has just gotten faster and faster in all facets of life. So the answer is yes. You have to be more careful and about what you say and who you say it to and where you're saying it. You definitely you don't want your deals getting out. I mean, it was one of the things that I was very proud of as a general manager. You never read about my deals early. And it's because, we kept it tight, and it was one of those things that was a stickler for me and for people who work for me. And like, if our deal gets out and I feel like you leaked the deal, then I was going to have a major problem. We never did, and it worked out well for us. But I think, you've got to be careful about a lot of things, and with social media today.
Well, congrats, Mike, on the success of your son and for yourself and a great career in the association. And we appreciate you joining us today.
Well, I thank you guys. Appreciate your time. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Mike Dunleavy Sr. weighing in on his son.